And first up, the Association of Ghana Industries has resolved to engage the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission over the increase in utility tariffs, arguing the upward adjustment will affect the cost of production. Their concern follows the increase of electricity and water by 29.96% and 3.8% respectively, effective 1st February 2023. Greater Choir Chairman of the Association of Ghana Industries, Chonam Akpelo, has been reacting to this.
So you recall that last year, September 2022, they have increased the electricity to about 26%. Now we're receiving another announcement that they are going to further increase it to 29%. So within a space of 6 months, the electricity is going up for over 56%. Industry cannot deal with this. This is really becoming too much for a nation that claims to be determined to support industrialization growth. Within 6 months, we have to deal with a 56% increase in utility, coupled with issues like inflation rate, which is hovering around 54%. At the same time, we're having a looming situation of debt restructuring program, which will have its consequential effects of lack of confidence in the financial system, lack of loanable funds, and all of these situations that industry has to deal with at this moment. Our view is that the things are just too much. See, we have to deal with issues around VAT, over 15%. So an industrialist wake up every morning and have to deal with all this array of increment in cost. At the same time, when you produce in Ghana, you're unable to increase the cost of your product to that level simply because the locally produced products are dealing with competition from imported product, and most of these imported products are cheap. And so it makes it difficult for local industrialists to just increase the prices of their goods and services. The consequential effect is that most of our people have to reduce their production, and some of them really even have to lay off workers because you can't sell the same volume that you're able to sell in the market because the prices are high. So we're really asking government to really intervene and at least delay this increment. The utility prices. Look at water. In the span of within 1 year, water has gone up by 48%. And these are crucial requirements for industrial growth. Water, electricity, constitutes a major component of the cost we have to deal with. About 30% of the entire production cost is constituted by electricity, power alone. So imagine an increase of this volume in power. It will obviously affect the cost of production. The cost of raw materials are going up on a daily basis. So really the times are not normal, and we believe that a continuous increase in utility will not help do any good, not only industry, but the nation in general.
All right, from utilities, let's talk about fuel. Bulk oil distribution companies are warning that fuel prices could soon return to the high levels experienced last year. That's if measures are not quickly taken to stabilize the cedi. Here's George Afe's report.
Local currency is said to have depreciated by more than 5% already against the US dollar in the first 2 weeks of this month. This actually saw some of the bulk oil distribution companies review the payment terms for selling the products to the oil marketing companies and in some cases return to cash and carry. Some of the oil marketing companies have told Joy Business that they had to pay more in terms of cedis with the same quantity of petroleum products that they were buying last month. This resulted in prices going up by more than 1 Ghana cedi for a litre from January 16th this month. Two of the major oil marketing companies, that is Total Energies and Gulf, have already adjusted their prices. The oil marketing companies have told Joy Business that the city's depreciation was a major reason for the increase in prices of petroleum products at the pumps from this Monday. This because prices of finished petroleum products have not witnessed any significant increase on the world market. The bulk oil distribution firms are worried that if the city's situation doesn't improve anytime soon, they could be getting back to those high levels in December last year in terms of prices of petroleum products that might not be good for consumers.
Well, joining us on Zoom, Dr. Isi Sulemana, an energy strategist. Good to have you on the program this afternoon. So yesterday we saw fuel prices going up, and now this warning from BDCs to expect further hikes if the depreciation of the cedi continues. Your reaction?
Yeah, thank you very much, Darrell, and good afternoon to you and your cherished viewers in Ghana and across the globe. Yeah, that is almost like going to be like inevitable. I mean, this was coming. I'm saying that because your report clearly indicated that because of the cedi depreciation, that's actually why we are seeing some little upward adjustment in the pumps, and that's actually factual. If you just roll yourself back, if you just check roll back a little bit to see, the dynamics of the market, what actually happened. In fact, all this while, what has been happening is just the supply and demand of the US dollar. That's the greenback that is causing these rapid fluctuations of fuel prices at the pumps. If you look at the international dynamics, that should have been something that would cause a major headache. But as we speak now, for the last 3 months, I can speak on authority. Oil prices have been stable, relatively stable around the 80s. And so it is only our cedi depreciation that is causing this dynamics. And so we have government has to take serious action on this. And it's a fact that if action is not taken, to whatever that we did that got the cedi stabilized, however brief it was, we have to revisit that and see whether that was sustainable or not. Other than that, we might go back to those days again, unfortunately, yeah.
We get lots of people asking, how about the gold for oil butter? How soon would the initiative impact on pricing? We understand the first consignment is in, but yet to hit the markets. And what would the impact on pricing be significant, do you think?
Yeah, at the moment, the quantum that we are told that came within our shores or that arrived, it's not anything that much. I think it's about 41 or 40,000 metric tons. And this one can just last for 4 days if you want to do cumulative, let's say, diesel and petrol together. We have to look at the consumption, the nation's consumption daily. On monthly basis, I think we are doing like 350,000 metric tons. So if we do a little bit of calculation, you can see that this 40,000 or 41,000 metric tons is just a dip in the ocean. But our understanding that we should be getting more coming in.
Yeah, exactly. So
if we get more coming in,
I think this is a test shipment.
Yeah. Yeah. So and then the other thing that we need to be careful about is the fact that at least what has been displayed on the pumps. So at the pumps this morning, I am not so pleased. I have to be very frank. I was scared when I went to buy fuel, and I noticed that it's almost hitting 14 again. So I asked myself, so what is the dollar rate that our PSPs are using to do this computation? However, it all boils down to the fluctuations. Sometimes they have to do forward pricing. Unfortunately, the consumer gets hit in this process. So at the end of the day, yes, the petroleum product to gold deal. We need to get it in quantums that can impact the market. At the moment, what is in will not do that much. And also, we have to try to engage, the existing players. I always mention this. We don't have to disrupt a system that we have already. I believe a lot of consultation has gone through or has gone, between the PSPs and then the government of Ghana on one hand. Those who are the champions of this program, to make sure that we don't disrupt the smooth operations of our downstream, and also where they are buying the gold from. Those guys are not able to export gold again. I believe there are a lot of communication that is going on for them to be assured, that whatever that they were doing, their business are not going to be impacted. But this is very important, Darrell, yeah.
And here's another report, and we are getting indication that the bulk oil distribution companies have not been involved as of now. And there are some reports which suggest the plan may be not to involve them at all because of their contribution to fuel price hikes. Is that a way to go?
Yeah, so I just believe, I don't want to preempt, I don't want to say that, in fact, this oil hasn't hit the market. This petroleum products, finished product hasn't hit the market yet. That's what I want to believe. So, and I'm also very certain that they have to be engaged. If government is not doing that, I think the high time the government did that, the better. Because these are the players that I mentioned. They have to be involved. They have to involve them. It's very, very important. And all this, I'm saying that because certainty and but marketers have to be assured that their businesses are not going to be impacted with this novelty program that we want to implement. As great as it may sound, it could have its consequences, unintended consequences. And I always say that the unintended consequences could be disruption in the market if you are not careful. And the way we can cure that is engagement. So I believe the government will still engage them. If the government hasn't done that, I think the government has to do that as soon as possible.
Can this program go on without the involvement of BDCs?
Yeah, they could bypass them, but I don't think that's the way to go. Because if at the end of the day, what I want to believe is that they have to involve the government-based, the GOIL probably, which is Go Energy, and then the GOIL as a player, as an OMC, that will partner with probably BOST to be able to do that. That can easily be done, but how will the market look like? Are we going to disrupt the market? I don't think. And are we going to kill competition? I don't think we are interested in doing that. We are not interested in going back to those days that we need to kill to buy fuel. However, I always think that competition is the way to go, and so they have to involve them. I believe they have to involve them. They have to distribute the product to them equitably, and to ensure that, because the idea is what? The idea of the whole deal is not to bring down it's not to do anything, but to bring down the cost of the product at the pumps, or to minimize the depreciation. And so, if all the other players are not involved, where this product can go to them, where they can distribute it, equitable to all the outlets, then at the end of the day, the policy will be defeated, So yes, they have to involve them. I think it is very important. It is very crucial. And I'm saying that because after we deregulated the market in 2015, there has been a quantum leap in the number of these PSPs. And They have done so well to keep the market without refinery. You have to bear in mind that. And we haven't had any interruption in supply of this product. Though I always call for a refinery. But the fact that, our guys are able to hold the fort this elongated period of time without disruption, I think that kudos to them. Though we call them to ensure that, whatever the price at the pump reflects the reality. And that is also when I will look in an MPA. MPA has to ensure that no PSP or no marketer should take undue advantage of the populace, especially whenever there is this fluctuation in the city. This normal, some people could take advantage and give out in China prices. That is outrageous. And this one, MPA has to do that. They have to ensure that they have done that before. I believe they are capable of doing that, and they have to ensure that prices at the pump reflects, what the reality on the ground is.
All right, I appreciate your time with us, Dr. Yusuf Sulemana, energy strategist. As always, insightful to speak with you. Well, Ghana may seek to add non-Paris Club member China into its request for debt relief under the G20 Common Framework. That's according to sources close to Reuters. There's more in this report.
China is Ghana's biggest bilateral creditor with $1.7 billion of debt, according to data from the International Institute of Finance. This is compared with $1.9 billion to Paris Club members. Managing Director of the IMF, Kristalina Gorgieva, confirmed that Ghana just became the fourth country to seek treatment under the Common Framework. This sent a signal that it is seen as an important pathway for debt resolution. The IMF boss added that countries seeking debt restructuring under the framework will need greater certainty on processes and standards, as well as shorter and more predictable timelines. The government yesterday extended the deadline for the domestic debt exchange to January 31st. The finance minister reiterated the necessary consensus building through stakeholder consultation with individual and institutional investors as one of the reasons for the extension. The domestic debt exchange program is a necessary condition for the country to secure an IMF support program.
All right, you're watching The Marketplace. Next up is our business advisory series. You're going to be talking a lot about taxation. Do stay with us. Don't go anywhere. welcome back to the Marketplace. It's day 2 of our business advisory series, and yesterday we talked a lot about managing your business in an austere economy, how to draw your annual budget, and the planning that has to go into it. Remember PPE, plan, prioritize, execution. Well, Senior Manager Tax Unit of KPMG, Gordon Dade, is in studio once again, and we are going to focus a bit more on the subject, but this time talk a bit more on taxation, all right? And so I want us to start with tax planning, what it is, and if you could give us some examples.
All right. Thank you, Daryl, for having me again on your show today.
Yeah.
Yeah, so tax planning is very important. Maybe let me take a step back to explain one famous quotation from Benjamin Franklin.
Okay.
What Benjamin said was that there are 2 things that are certain in life: death and taxation. I mean,
that's interesting.
whether you like it or not, you will die one day, and then tax, whether you like it or not, you also pay tax. And so it's very important that something that is very certain as tax, you have to really plan for it. Now, what is tax planning? Tax planning is basically making sure that you take advantage of tax provisions in the law to make sure that you minimize your exposure to tax payments. And so this is a legal way of making sure that you are taking advantage of the provisions in the law to minimize your tax exposure. And for businesses, you can look at different provisions. So one that comes to mind readily is what we call a fresh graduate incentive. Mm-hmm. So if you're a business and you employ as part of your planning, because this is a difficult time, so you want to make sure that as you employ people, you even get benefit with the contract that you sign. And that incentive works like this. So if you employ fresh graduates as part of your employees, and you have a number as part of your full-time staff, okay, you get some additional tax deduction or additional expense deduction, which will go a long way to reduce the tax that you pay when the year ends. Mm-hmm. If you're also a manufacturing concern, a manufacturing business, and you want to take advantage of some of these provisions, depending on where you locate your business, if you locate sometimes outside the regional capitals, you can get as high as 50% tax rebate, and that can come to help you. Even as individuals as well, you want to plan your affairs. One thing that you can do is what we call the mortgage interest relief, where if you are going to even acquire a property, you can go for a loan, mortgage loan, and the interest on that is deductible. That reduces your tax burden. So there are quite a number of examples in the tax law that we can leverage to make sure that we reduce the austerity that we are in.
Okay, I know businesses like to run away from taxes. I'm not saying it's legitimate, but you also always want to cut down on taxes, and that affects compliance in certain ways. So what aspects of taxation pose a risk to compliance, and how can that be mitigated?
Yeah. In fact, I mean, I'll begin again with another quotation.
Oh, I love the quotations.
There's, one famous professor, Albert Einstein, who is a scientist, he said that the hardest thing ever in the world is the income tax. So we all know that tax is very challenging. It's a very technical subject, and therefore it means that you have to really pay attention to it. Now, if you look at businesses, they are exposed to a number of taxes. I mean, in Ghana, there are transactional taxes, like withholding taxes, PAYE, VAT. These are 3 key taxes that you can't take out from any business, and you really need to pay attention to them. If you look at withholding tax, for instance, you are required to know series of transactions and different rates that apply on them. Mm-hmm. I mean, basically, we know there are 3 rates, but there are more. So we have the 3%, we have the 5%, we have the 7.5%. These apply to different transactions. If it's works, if it's goods, if it's services. Sometimes even knowing what is service or knowing what is goods or knowing what is works is not that clear. And therefore, it brings some level of complexity, and which is why you need to consult. You need to discuss with the GRA if you are in doubt. If you don't have understanding, you can even call a consultant. So these are critical areas that businesses will have to make sure that they focus on to get some clarity.
And I think the concern with the businesses is also that, I mean, you keep taxing them when they are, for instance, the informal sector businesses, some of those businesses get away with not paying taxes. And so it becomes, it's more like you keep compounding, especially during these times, it's really difficult for them.
Yeah, so which is why we have always said that we don't really need to introduce new taxes, but we should rather focus on compliance. So yes, we are saying that the informal sector is not paying taxes and there's more that has to be done. But what effort are we putting into that area? So compliance effort, like what we saw last year when they did the VAT invigilation, as we mentioned yesterday, you saw that they even said that some particular taxpayers, their revenue increased by about 100% or more. And that's one area that we need to focus on. So compliance is key for the GRA to focus on.
And any idea how much we'll be saving if we get people to comply, businesses, for instance?
So yes, I mean, if for businesses, in terms of savings, I mean, I will not be able to say how much you will save. But again, if government is able to open the tax net and every other person is paying, you expect that in the long term, the rates should fall. And if the tax rate fall, then of course it's going to benefit all businesses. So once we are able to get a lot of people in the kitty and everyone is paying, then of course government is going to reduce rates. That's, I mean, the long term. You expect that rate to fall because more people are paying now. And that should bring some respite to businesses.
And so in terms of compliance, what can be done to ensure that it is enforced, sort of? I mean, what ideas you have to share? I don't know.
Sure. So in terms of compliance, I mean, we are in the digital age. We are in the IT age now. And I think technology is one area that government can leverage to make sure that they get tax.
You've tried with e-levy?
E-levy is a tax handle. So that's a tax handle you've introduced. But if you want to enforce compliance, for example, data analytics, we take withholding tax every month from taxpayers. We have information on them. People like consultants who provide service and earn some kind of income. Sometimes when they pay the withholding tax, they don't pay any other income again on that. So government could actually leverage data and analytics to make sure that whatever income has been disclosed on this withholding tax can be used to determine the overall tax burden for these people. Yeah, and that will go a long way to widen the net.
30 seconds. I don't know if you have anything to share, for instance, a PPE kind of a thing, as we conclude this afternoon. Any tip for our audience?
Yeah, so I'll say that, look, when it comes to times like this, I mean, things are very difficult, and of course, you want to make sure that you continue complying. So yes, having a robust model to manage your process is very important. And maybe one model that I will recommend is to make sure that you put your CCTV in check. And what's a CCTV? The first C will be to comply with the tax law. The second C will make sure to consult when you are in doubt. And then the T will be to transfer. We know in risk management, when you have risk and you can't manage, you transfer it. So as a business, you want to transfer that risk to a consultant to even help you to manage. And then the last V will be to be vigilant. Make sure that you are vigilant enough to make sure you spot. Yeah, to spot everything that will go wrong. So I think that will be a CCTV approach that we should adopt.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Gordon Dade, he's Senior Manager Tax Unit KPMG. CCTV, comply, consult, transfer, and be vigilant.
And be vigilant.
Great. Thanks for joining us on The Marketplace. More news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. The show continues tomorrow. Please stay tuned.